But yeah, let's get started with this thoughts and recap of the London session before we head into the New York session. Let me start sharing my screen. Go live. Alright, so here we have the DXY chart. And this morning throughout the London session, let me go to the daily time frame first. We can see that we broke below the daily bullish fair value gap. We're inside this order block, this entire candle, down closing candle, which touched the daily break and where we moved away from explosively is the order block that I'm looking at. It should hold support to deliver up higher into the buy side liquidity. So we will see how that plays out. If we look at that on a lower time frame, we can see that the dollar index has some sort of trend line liquidity of lower highs right here, and we opened up Tuesday right here at 6 p.m. New York local time, and we saw we had a minimal pump up, but then right here at the London Open 3 a.m. we had this drop down to clear sell side. We had a quick pullback, and then we used this fair value gap right here to deliver even lower. So on the 1 hour time frame, we have a bullish fair value gap right here. We have the new day opening gap, which potentially could also hold support here. So I'm really interested to see if the DXY might not continue to drop a little bit lower before reversing back up to clear orders buy side, then maybe bounce off here to take out the 105 buy side liquidity all the way from over here. So if we go to the daily time frame, you see that a lot better. It's a matter of time until we run this high. We cleared external, and from external we move back into internal liquidity. From the COT, Commitment of Traders Data Report, we can learn that commercial traders are building a short position. So they're slowly gathering up their shorts before it's going to drop next time. We have some sort of trend line liquidity here on the daily as well. There's gonna be a more significant pullback on the DXY in my opinion. I'm just gonna keep it on here. I have the DXY chart open from now on at all time on the hourly chart, and we can perfectly use that to go over to the Euro futures chart, Euro FX futures, and as we can see, DXY dropping, Euro dollar futures pumping up. because I'm looking for a pump, maybe today, Wednesday, we will see. So tomorrow's FOMC, I would expect the pump to happen on DXY tomorrow during a FOMC news event. That's just my thoughts. And then here on EU, we just broke above this resistance level. So we're actually moving very aggressively while the DXY is still selling off. And on EU this morning, we had a expansion during Asia. We cleared Asia's sell side during London, market structure shift, pull back towards the midnight level where we had this inversion fair value gap which kept holding us until we broke it, went back up. Here's our breaker block, kept holding support to make this run towards the previous day's high. We can see that the daily candle is very bullish. We opened up right over here. That's the power of 3 indicator from 2 degrees. And it looks like we're gonna get a expansion day on EU. We will see. If we look further to the left, we see this big fair value gap from Thursday, the 14th of September, that we could likely be filling. Let's see. If we go to a higher time frame, the daily, we see we're at a high of the daily fair value gap, which would be a interesting point for price to turn around to continue to sell off basically. I'm just gonna be watching it if I find. I'm still looking for shorts on EU. We will see how that plays out later during the New York session. And if I see a setup, I make sure I share it inside trade ideas on the Discord server. So that would be the DXY and the Euro US dollar futures. We're still moving up, but eventually we should get a pullback. Let's head over to the index futures. So on NQ here, we're on a 5-minute time frame. We had this incredible trade this morning where I mentioned on Discord that we have this trend line liquidity right here. We've been trending down. Yeah, after this little fake out pump to the upside at the Asian Open, 8 a.m. Delivery lower, 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 lower. 2 a.m. open, midnight. We continue lower, 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 lower. We didn't clear sell side. I was sort of expecting for it to clear sell side because we got so close to it. But it didn't happen. Also not during the London Open and the trade I took. I can quickly log into my... Now I'm logged in on a other tab. That's fine. So right here, the trend line liquidity. And I was looking at the daily candle because at this point in time, if I used the replay mode, we had a down closing bearish candle. And then we had the 3 a.m. open where we had this last dip to the downside. We cleared internal sell side liquidity. I really expected it to clear external as well. PM session low here from 1454 yesterday. We didn't do that, and instead we got immediately this bullish momentum to the upside. So I was really interested to see if this fair value gap right here, we cleared sell side, displacement, we shift market structure again. If this fair value gap right here can't hold support, and I place 2 buy limits here on the NQ mini contract, and we see we immediately got tapped in. At this point in time, I was a little bit worried that this was just a fake out and that we continue to clear sell side. But as we can see, we can watch the daily candle form. Looks like a down closing candle, but always keep in mind what the daily candle is looking like, because eventually we're gonna have accumulation, manipulation, distribution. And then from here, the rally began. Right here at the VWAP and the midnight open, I took my first partial with my full take profit target being the Asian session high. Here's the new day opening gap. Hesitated a little bit before breaking through it. We broke above it, pulled back. Where did we keep on holding? This fair value gap, this discount level. And then we went sideways for a little bit before we hit buy side perfectly. And really look at that. We touch it and we immediately go for internal liquidity. So, do we? We consolidate. We clear stops below here. Let's see if we continue. Go up to the higher time frame now. This was my trade. I captured the entire... My entry was right here. Almost 50 points on NQ. And let's see where we're at right now. So we cleared this high one more time. And now we're... almost looks like a reversal setup to me, actually. It's 8:08:10 now. We cleared Asia session highs. We didn't make it up to yesterday's highs. So right now, if we continue lower, I'd be looking at the midnight level to see what we do around this time. I'm not going to take any trades. I think the only opportunity that came by here, even on a 5-minute time frame, was this sweep of buy side liquidity. And so we even managed to close above it with no wick to the upside. But by the time you would have seen this displacement, where we shifted market structure to the downside, leaving behind a fair value gap, we could have used the lowest down closing candle or the array of lowest down closing candles, which would have been these 3 ones. as our breaker block. We look at the lowest candle to refine it a little bit. Then we have a bearish fair value gap paired with that breaker block. On the 5 minute we can also check the higher time frame on a 15 minute close, immediate bearish engulfing, at least target this internal sell side on the 15. We cleared that even before we filled the fair value gap, and now we might get the continuation lower for internal sell side to maybe fill these bullish fair value gaps. But this would have been a pretty decent short entry. We had the bearish fair value gap right here, the new day opening gap right here, and this little breaker block. So I'm gonna leave it on my chart, going forward into the New York session. Bearish fair value gap. I'm pretty content with the profits I made today already, so I'm not trying to chase anything. I think the higher time frame trend, if we check the hourly time frame, get rid of the session pro here quickly, and also my drawings that I just put on the chart. Anchored weave up, create a new folder. Tuesday analysis. Hide all that quickly. So on the hourly chart, I can sort of see a inverse head and shoulder setup, exactly lining up with the previous, or with the weekly outlook, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So eventually I would expect this 1 hour bullish fair value gap to hold support, to deliver into buy side and buy side right here. That would be my idea going into the New York session. We went from external sell side back to internal. I think that previous day high should be a good low hanging fruit target. And if you remember the weekly outlook that I shared on Discord on Monday morning, right here, I mentioned that I wanted to see something like this play out. That's the 4 hour chart on NQ. We already cleared the previous week's low, and then I wanted to see a pullback, FOMC, seek and destroy during Asia and London, and then at 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. that aggressive expansion lower. And if we look at that right now, we cleared the previous week's low. We cleared the low of the month from over here. Lowest point of the monthly candle on September. We cleared that and we immediately bounced away from it very strongly. This was yesterday's move to the upside. We also mentioned that even on the live stream, and it played out perfectly. And now we are retracing, which is fine. But yeah, overall I would be interested in seeing these targets to be hit. My overall bias therefore would be bullish, to see if we cannot reprice into higher premiums. Going back to the 5 minute and turning my Tuesday analysis back on. Yeah, we could maybe expect a retracement. Let me get rid of some stuff. I think they will leave this sell side behind and not hunt for London sell side, and maybe just retrace to continue up higher. Look how beautifully that new day opening gap here, this green area, closed here, open up right here, kept holding resistance. So let's see if we can use that to deliver lower. We still have this breaker block in place, paired with this bearish fair value gap. I'm gonna get rid of that on my chart. We will see how all that plays out. Want to have a clean chart, turn the session pro back on, and that's my thoughts and ideas for ES. Close above, DXY still selling off, and now we get to ES. On ES interesting. Is it? 725. Yep, very interesting. Did you guys see it too, what I just saw? Let me check out the live stream chat. So if you maybe, did not see it, look at time. Here it's 725 and we formed a lower high compared to 640 here on ES. And if we go over to NQ, we look at the 640 high right here. Then we look at the 725 high. And look what we have right here. Bearish SMT. Put it on the top. So now we have this entire setup that we already talked about with even more confluence. And that's how you, do intra-market analysis. Here we have bearish divergence, NQ cleared buy side, while ES didn't. Same analysis pretty much goes for ES here, that I already shared on NQ. Yeah, and since NQ was the asset, or the index that swept buy side, it would be more interesting to look for shorts on NQ because it swept buy side, shifted structure, bounced off bearish fair value gap, paired with breaker block, continued lower from here. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out for the rest of the session. I want to see how we maybe hold support inside of these bullish fair value gaps, or maybe we already saw the high of the day and we keep on, ranging, clear London session low and go back up and continue that until tomorrow FOMC. So it's really interesting. Saw it immediately. These highs, they didn't look quite right compared to what we saw on NQ. We also have equal lows here on ES. Sell side at 4496 and a quarter. We just touched the midnight level. I mentioned that at the beginning of the stream when we looked at NQ. This would have been a decent move. And look how well we respected this little discount. This bearish fair value gap. And that's what you want to see if you're in a trade. Is bearish order flow being respected? Beautiful. Very beautiful. But I'm gonna wait for the New York Open. I'm not going to participate earlier than that. ES below VWAP. Also would be looking to target midnight right here. SMT divergence, cleared the London highs. We did the same thing here. EU is still going up. The DXY is still selling off. NQ. Yeah. Any other questions and thoughts? But this is essentially a perfect YouTube model. The conditions have to align. That's what's most important. Trying to get in short around here before we've even swept Asian liquidity is tough. I mean, yes, we had this wick, but still, of course, you wouldn't know it's going to be choppy at this point in time, but we're almost at the end of the London kill zone and we just had a major rally to the upside, clearing all this trendline liquidity here from Asia and early London session. Time is more important than price, so yeah, if you maybe went short up here, not the right time. We continued to go up, consolidated, and then had that last structure shift. And then we also had the confirmation with the SMT divergence, where we formed a lower high on ES while forming a higher high on NQ. And this is, the dead giveaway that some people always ask, which one should I trade? Well, if you look for a reversal, you want to trade the one that swept buy side liquidity right here, rejected, displaced, put structure in place with a fair value gap and a breaker block to continue lower from this entry right here. immediately off the breaker, stop. Up here, this would have already been a 20-point move. Let's see if we finish the pattern and continue to do seek and destroy. Asia range, London clears Asia lows, and London highs were already swept. Interesting. Immediately piqued my eye, that divergence. But let's see, we have these two discounts here. So these are the most my area of interest right now. This bullish fair value gap and this bullish fair value gap. I'm gonna see if they hold support. Because remember, right here we also have our hourly bullish fair value gap that we could use to pump price back up. 15-minute also lining up with that 5-minute fair value gap. So I want to see what price is doing inside of that area. I'm gonna look at NQ and also look at ES. We have the new day opening gap here on ES. Pretty much at 50% of today's range. So if we continue higher, we can always relate back to premium and discount of the entire daily range. Let me change the colors of that. So let's make it red and green. Other way around. Green. Premium discount. Maybe I'm using the wrong colors, but I think this way it should be correct. Premium discount. So we can see that we just went back to the 50% level of today's range on ES. Perfectly aligned with the new day opening gap, 50%. You see that matching up. 50% of the entire daily range. Pulling back into a discount to continue up higher. That would be my idea. We can retrace deeper to maybe a optimum trade entry. So now we're going to use the ICT fib retracement. We have the 61.8 almost perfectly aligned with midnight and the optimum trade entry down here inside this bullish fair value gap. So keep that in mind. This is our daily range. You can also, for example, do this to have a cleaner chart. Premium discount. So right now we want to see if the fair value gaps in discount can hold support. Go over to NQ and do the same thing. Save as PD array, but this time in proper colors. Yes, yes, yes. So now we go over here and quickly reload the tab. Could be a nice bounce off the midnight level here. Here we have that daily candle. Premium discount. So we already reached a discount here on the daily candle. Perfect. And if we now look for retracements in regards of a optimum trade entry, ICT fib retracement, we did not touch the 61.8. The optimum trade entry would be down here inside the 3:10 AM bullish fair value gap. My bias is still bullish, even though we had that SMT. We can't always continue to the upside. We have to clear internal after sweeping external liquidity to make it up to maybe that engineered liquidity up here on Monday's high. Any questions regarding the analysis or the outlook? That would be buy side as well for the previous day's high. Here on NQ we can see that this old new week opening gap from over here kept holding resistance yesterday, so maybe all we needed was a retracement into discounts to push above it. Sell side, buy side, we have our fair value gaps. We cleared internal. NQ delivered a much cleaner setup with SMT divergence, breaker block, fair value gap down. With premium and discount of our entire daily range on both ES and NQ. It's a great way of doing that. I think I will leave it that way. Expand everything out. Alright, I want to get rid of the new day open, new week opening gaps. Now, well, I might actually leave it on. Midnight level, it's about to be 8:30, so 8:30 and midnight gonna align very well today. Euro US dollar still moving to the upside. The XY still dropping. I would monitor it. Yeah, guys, do you have any questions? I really like that analysis. I think I'm improving myself. I'm improving my skills. It's good fun, definitely. I really enjoy it, and I hope this little putting things into perspective outlook, sharing my thoughts for today's price action can be helpful, because in the end, if I tell you where to get in, where to get out, first of all, I could be wrong, and I may be fading your own bias, which is not good, because in the end of the day, you want to go over the higher time frames, trade your bias, and based on your analysis, you want to go to the lower time frame to identify a entry opportunity that aligns with your analysis and not mine. I'm just sharing the ideas, my thoughts, maybe as a little guide on how you can do it as well. But really, your execution should be based on your own analysis. And ideally, always backed up with some higher time frame confluence. Less trades instead of more, quality over quantity. I made that, wouldn't really call it a mistake, but when you saw me back in the days just tape reading ES1 on the 5 and 1 minute, 15 minute time frame, well, you sort of get spooked from the higher time frames. So, or from the lower time frames, not respecting what the overall daily, weekly template bias are looking like. So let's see, 8:30 opened up on both ES and NQ. We repriced into a bearish fair value gap. We might use that to seek a deeper discount. Remember, daily range, premium discount. We already cleaned Asia at London session high, and now we're starting to pull back into a discount inside a 1 hour bullish fair value gap. But of course, I could also see it just drop below, because I don't know. But if you see a reversal setup around here, depending on how New York is going to open up at 9:30, well, we'll see. Alright, let me open up the chat on Discord. Awesome, I'm glad you think so, FL Trader. ICT on roids, that's the way. It's a lot of work. Looks like we want to continue lower. EU is also sort of putting in a top if we look on lower time frames. DXY, yeah, starting to reject. Which could fuel that move to the downside. Remember, here on ES, I'm not sure if I spoke about that already, we have perfect equal lows. And I really expected, that's why I chose NQ over ES, because we had these equal lows, that at least one of them is clearing the sell side with the wick, and then still managing to continue up higher. But it didn't do that, so I preferred NQ. We didn't have these perfect equal lows, nope. And NQ moves a little bit more aggressively, stronger, so I chose ES over NQ today. This morning, but looks like we are, well, we're gonna see what we do in this lowest discount level, if we can use that for support. Get rid of most of the longs right here. Starting to form some sort of a trend line maybe. I never used to be a friend of trend lines, at least until I first started learning about ICT-Concepts, because trend lines, retail, blah blah blah. But now I don't know, I think they are super helpful, and as a trader I think I have to thank you for that. Because usually when we have a trend line and we go from external to internal, it's setting up for something, a low resistance liquidity run back into buy side, potentially. So we already touched that deepest discount on NQ. Let's see. I also have sharp trend line liquidity on NQ. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that today. Unless you guys have any more questions regarding the analysis, I would call it a little thoughts and ideas. I think I will do them more oftenly now. And yeah, leave it up to the trader. Maybe it aligns with your analysis and now you have even more confidence in a potential setup. Maybe it's completely against your analysis, but then still, I'd recommend you to stick to your analysis and not mine. Let's wait for this 5-minute candle close. We're still holding support here, repricing into lower discounts. Bearish volume imbalance, close below this fair value gap. Might want to continue a little bit lower here. We will see if we have cleared London sell side prior to the New York Open. I would expect it to range before we get the next expansion, to be completely honest. So if we clear sell side prior to New York Open, I will likely not participate, because then all we really do is some sort of seek and destroy. We put highs and lows in place, we clear lows, we clear highs, putting a new high and low in place. Yeah, and I think, I don't know, looking pretty bearish. I mean, we had a perfect YouTube model up here, outside of the kill zone. Very interesting. We had that last pump up with that new hourly opening, 7 AM. Pump up, rejection. Then it is 7:45, 7:50 inside the New York AM session macro, the first one, from 7:50 until 8:10. Continuation lower. Not bad. But you do not have to catch every move. Go over to ES. ES repriced at lowest discount. We can also check the hourly chart here quickly. Not very easy to trade this range, but I still hold that buy side bias, so I'm still short term bullish on this. Medium term, we will see what we get. Alright guys, thanks very much for tuning in. It's now 8:30, 8:45. So I'm going to spend some time outside for the next 30 minutes to prepare myself prior to the New York kill zone. Had a few short opportunities of pretty much every 5-minute discount. So if I would have been tape reading today, I'm very likely would have went short right at 8 AM. Would be done for the day, but it's alright. Wouldn't really be based on the higher time frame, but we had the SMT 8 AM. I think I would have spotted it. But yeah, whatever. Alright guys, thanks very much for tuning in. I will upload this recording to YouTube. Might be helpful for some other traders as well. I think it will be released after the New York Open, but still, maybe they find value and start joining these little streams too. Alright guys, like I said, thank you very much for joining in here. I really appreciate it. And best of luck for today's New York session. Played cool. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday on these days we will see the best trading opportunities for the week. So yeah, don't blow your accounts on day 1 and 2 of the week. So far all we've did really was range. Still inside yesterday's highs and low. Didn't expand outside of it during Asia or London. We did on EU. And we're immediately starting to see a big sell-off. See if we can see something on the 1 minute. Equal highs. Market structure shift. Strong displacement with fair value gap. Clear internal sell side. Interesting. I haven't traded Euro US dollar futures at all. I did a little while ago, but not recently. DXY is starting to push. Yeah, I would keep an eye on DXY as well. And now for the 5th time, thanks very much for joining in guys. That's gonna be the end of the stream. Take care, trade safe.